Hey, it's Alec here, and I just want to say thank you so much for clicking on this video. So what this YouTube video is all about is it's my good friend Brandon interviewing me all about local client getting event strategies. So you're probably going to hear quite a bit of new information that you might not have heard either on my Instagram or on my YouTube channel, just about the way that I think and I strategize about getting results from events. So for those of you that have been watching my videos, thank you so much. For those of you that have just come across my channel, my name is Alec, and what I do is I help coaches, consultants, and agency owners get high quality clients in a consistent way through the power of local events and local community building. So this video is obviously going to share a bit of insights, but if you want a more structured look at how exactly I get results for my own business and for my clients through helping them get high quality clients through the power of doing events where you live, I have a full 38-minute video training on exactly how this is done. It's called How I Turn Every $1 into $10 for Local Client Getting Events. And it talks about how to date, for every $10,000 I spend on ads, I generate $100,000 in revenue for my business, for my coaching and consulting business, and how also my clients are doing the same thing. So if you want to check out that video, just click on the link below. That will give a little bit more context about what we're talking about in this interview. But anyway, thank you so much for coming across this video, and I hope you enjoy the video.
In your world, like from a societal standpoint, like has this been something that people, like, is this the thing to do? Or are you noticing that people are starting to kind of get into it now? It's like they're realizing that to build their brand, like a good strategy, at least it's not just content, it's not just podcasting, it's events.
Yeah.
Right? Are you noticing people being more like at least inclined to the idea and they're willing to give it a shot, or what's your take on it, being in the industry?
Yeah. I feel like events are something that a lot of people are pushing. Not just me, but a lot of big business influencers. A lot of them are preaching that you should be doing events as a way to grow your business.
Really?
Especially in-person events. Yeah, there's like a clip of Alex Hormozy saying it. And a lot of other people are just saying, yeah, you should be doing in-person events, because the question is, why would you not be doing something like that?
Okay.
Right? Why would you not bring people together who are in your target? Why would you not bring people together who are in your target market?
Yeah.
And facilitate a community, and then use that community as a way to get clients and grow your business. It's just a really great strategy. The thing, though, is that not everybody knows how to do that. A lot of people are going to be afraid that they can't sell tickets, and they'll be embarrassed. And a lot of other people, even if they get past those things, they just might not have the personality to do it. Not everybody wants to go on stage and address a crowd of people. Again, with most of the events that I do and what I help my clients with, the networking is a big part of that. The on-stage component is an element of that, but it's not the entire event.
Okay.
But just the fact of I'm going to put together an event. I'm going to be the center of attention on social media in my area and attract a lot of people. That's really awesome to some people, and they're like, yeah, let's do that. That's exactly what I need. This is going to be so good. And then, however, there's always going to be an element of people. There's always going to be a certain amount of people that are just like, yeah, I don't want to do that. I'm just going to stick to whatever I'm doing, whether it's working or not. And even the people that like putting themselves out there online, a few of them even get tripped up a little bit about putting themselves out there locally in their community.
Yeah, why is that?
Because it feels real. It feels more real than just like, putting out an Instagram post, being seen nationally. But if you're actually, running an ad locally in an area, it's super interesting. And it's going to attract not only attention online where you are, but it's also going to have an element offline as well.
Yeah.
Not just you're going to bring people locally to your events, but you're going to get recognized more often in public and stuff like that, because you're actually one of the few people that have an effective advertising strategy, bringing people together in the real world in a certain area.
Yeah.
So,
and you're speaking from experience, because I've seen it firsthand, Like, it's like an ongoing joke. Even at your last event that we were at.
Yeah.
Like, I knew someone was going to come up to you saying I saw your ad, or I've seen it from somewhere.
Yeah.
Social media, so it works, and I think that's we're still in a day and age where personal branding and being present on social media and content is still very important
Yeah.
to converting to whatever your end goal is, whether it's convert to customers or maybe it is to, you know, use it as a lead gen or get them to your funnel, right? What is your, when you're guiding and coaching your clients to put on events, right?
Yeah.
Are you consulting them to do what you've done to build their personal brand like you have and
Yeah.
become kind of like a local like figure in their space, or like is each one different?
Yeah, I would say a huge element is not just doing events as a way to bring people together, but really this whole local client getting event strategy is a holistic personal brand effort.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing is, at least from an ad standpoint, is you're putting yourself out there on social media in your area saying, hey, if you're this kind of person and you want to meet more like-minded people, join my entrepreneur community. I'm bringing people together and this and that. So that's step one, and that's going to allow you to build your contact base, get a lot of emails.
Okay.
But again, you're not just getting emails and phone numbers. You're also getting Instagram followers as well. So a lot of these people naturally are going to want to follow you on Instagram at the same time. And now it's not just they're following you when you're announcing your next event, but they're following you whenever you make a post on, your feed or your Instagram story or something like that. And sure, there's a ton of potential to get clients through the events themselves, but it's also just as powerful being able to get clients outside of the events through just being known so much locally. Because even if somebody doesn't directly come to your event, they could have still been following you.
There's definitely more upside.
Uh-huh.
I mean, what is the downside? You know, maybe, I know you haven't seen this, but like, let's say an event flops, or when someone goes into an event without a coach or guidance or consulting, like such as yourself, like, there's obviously things that they don't do right, or they just don't know, kind of just going into it blind, right?
Yeah.
But I don't really see like too much of a downside if you are being present online, and like you said, at the very least, you're building up your social, your currency, right, locally.
Yeah.
At the very, very least.
Yeah. The main thing is just all about getting an ROI.
Yeah.
And I primarily work with coaches, consultants, and agency owners because these are the people that have the highest ROI potential because they're selling something high ticket. And when you have something high ticket to sell, it's a lot easier to get a massive ROI from building your local community.
Yeah.
So that's an important factor. And what was another point I was going to make with this? It's all about getting a return. And when you are making the decision to either start doing events or make more investments into making your events better and all of that, whether that's increasing the production quality, hiring a coach, spending more on advertising, you just got to make sure. The reason that people won't do that is because they're not sure about the return. So the return is super important, and people don't want to just spend a lot of money and not know what they're going to get out of it.
Yeah.
So that's why it's really important to have a plan. Like if you're going to, make an effort to build a local events community, you have to have a step-by-step plan of how you're going to turn a profit with that.
And well, yeah, exactly what those KPIs, targets, and how you're going to measure the ROI, right?
Yeah, and it's just a lot easier to come up with a plan and stay accountable to that plan and have more success with the plan when you're working with a coach or consultant, whether that's me or somebody else that directly specializes in this sort of thing. Because, you could, watch all of my Instagram reels. You could even watch my VSL. And that will get you, interested in the strategy, and hopefully it'll build some trust with me that maybe I'm the right person. But, yeah, really, the people that... It's interesting because the people that won't hire somebody to help them, 90% of the time, you know what happens?
They try it on their own and they fail.
They just never start.
Well, that's even worse. Yeah.
Yeah, and then let's say the rest that do actually try it on their own,
Yeah.
they're just not going to do things correctly. So I think this is a part of content that a lot of people miss. So if you're either like a coach or a consultant that's selling some kind of high ticket offer and you want to get clients, the best way to get clients through your content, just through like let's say an Instagram reel strategy or creating written content, it's not necessarily telling people specifically how to do something,
Okay.
but it's telling them how to think. Because you can tell somebody how to do something and then they're going to be like, okay, that was great. But to be looked at as an authority, what do coaches and consultants really do? They shift people's mindsets, right? So as a content creator, it's not just about creating how-to content. It's about actually creating more insightful content. Because people are going to get a lot of value, not just hearing how I built a particular funnel, because there's 100 different videos on how to build funnels. But they want to know specifically, or they would like to know how I specifically think about the funnel and why I make certain decisions and have a certain kind of game plan.
That makes sense. Yeah, definitely bigger on the strategy side of things.
Yeah.
You the last time we talked, you mentioned your lean events strategy.
Yeah.
When I think of lean events, I think of going into it with obviously minimal budget, maybe probably an organic content strategy. Is it doable to put on an event and to build even the smallest kind of audience and get some sort of an ROI doing organic content, or without putting money in ads and maybe getting a venue sponsor? Like, explain the lean events kind of strategy, or leaner.
Yeah, so people have this concept that events have to be super time consuming, super expensive, and just stressful and have a lot going on.
Yeah.
And events don't necessarily have to be like that whatsoever. And the reason, one of the big reasons why I actually don't hire a big team to help me with events, my own events where I do them, primarily in Southern California, is to show people that you don't need a big team in order to do this. Because in order to put on an event, you need pretty much four main things. You need a venue, you need some kind of photo video guy, you need food, drinks, and an assistant. Those are really like the four main things.
Okay.
Because to put on a great event, it's not about making things complicated and crazy. In my opinion, my favorite events, the ones that have gotten the most impact, have been more simplistic.
Yeah.
And not just in the, how do I explain this? They've been simplistic in the way where I just got the basics down really correctly when it came to, okay, we're just going to have this kind of food, video guys set up, I have my assistant, I have the venue, that's all that.
Yeah.
Because really the value of your events, how you're going to get clients from the events, is not from having the best food. It comes from bringing the best people that are highly intentional and want to be there, creating that community, and having some kind of good offer on stage that's relevant to the attendees. Again, a lot of my clients right now that I work one-on-one with, who are like really successful, they try to overcomplicate everything.
Yeah.
They're like, we need to have this DJ, we need to have this certain kind of food, it has to be this kind of lighting, we have to have these kind of decorations.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, that's not helping you. And after having done several events with, a number of these clients, they're like, you know what, Alec, you were right. Let's just go back to making things simple.
Yeah.
Because simple is what works, and that's just a big value in my life right now, is let's try to make things as simplistic as possible. And it's really something I'm trying to make more clear in my messaging too, and really promote this idea of simplicity. Because if I make things look too complicated, nobody's going to want to do it.
It's so true. Yeah, there's definitely a time and a place to do the unscalable, but also focus on things that are scalable. So like when you're putting on events for yourself, or you're consulting and teaching a client how to do it, it's like once you get a repeatable process, you don't need the the fireworks and the lights and the DJ. Like there definitely are levels to certain
Yeah.
events, right? Like you were just at an event last night, and like Dan Fleischman was, one of the speakers. They launched a big event, right? He obviously puts on events that are like next level. Like
Well, you know, Joe's one of my clients.
Exactly.
Yeah. So with that event, that was really interesting because they just wanted to go above and beyond for that event.
Okay.
I think it was because they had a lot of speakers and stuff like that.
Did they really?
They had a lot of speakers, dude.
Okay.
When I teach people how to do lean events, it's literally those 4 things that we spoke about. It's get the venue, have some easy food catering option. It could be Jersey Mike sandwiches. Jersey Mike sandwiches crush it, you know? Have a photo video guy that you know, and have like 1 or 2 assistants max
Got it.
that help check people in.
Okay.
It should be an event that if you wanted to, you could practically run with just yourself and maybe 1 other person. Granted, some of my clients have bigger budgets than that and they want to hire more people and do all those kinds of things.
Yeah.
But when I think about, the event that I went to yesterday, Joe's event, Dan's event, whatever we want to call it, they had a bartender. They had like this whole catering station outside. They had like the backdrop where you like take a photo, of like the branding in the back.
For sure, yeah. You could have a good event with or without that stuff. You can generate an ROI with or without that stuff.
Exactly. So this is what it's all about. It's about the events and the way that I do them and I help other people with.
Yeah.
It's all about getting clients from the events, building valuable connections,
Yeah.
and turning those conversations into conversions, essentially.
I kind of prefer like your style of events as opposed to like a big sort of like, I don't know. You see this a lot like with motivational, events and like speaking kind of engagements.
Yeah.
I would see these bigger personalities maybe charged to speak on stage or just for their sheer presence, right? Just talking about Dan Fleischman. I mean his events are great and they're awesome. It's a full production. I was able to go backstage in Utah a few months ago for the Limitless one.
Yeah.
And it's like you walk back there and you see like all the big names kind of in that space, right?
Different kind of event.
Different kind of event.
Yeah. Exactly. So the events that I'm helping other entrepreneurs with, it's not about inviting a bunch of speakers and making money purely off the ticket sales.
Okay.
Because that's like when I think of like your typical event, I think there's going to be multiple speakers. It's all about selling the maximum amount of tickets to get ticket sales.
Yeah.
That's like the business model. Of course, with the style that I'm doing, the strategies that I teach, you're the star of the show.
Yeah.
You're the person that organized the event. You're there. And you're there to, sure, definitely, you can give a presentation if you like, 15, 30-minute presentation, whatever it might be, build that authority with the crowd, pitch an offer afterwards. But it's really more of an emphasis on community.
Yeah.
You're bringing people together who are in your target market, and just from a byproduct of that, you have a great growing list of people, whether they're on your email list, following you, or actually attending your events in person, that are, some of them are going to be interested in working with you further. So it's just a different model. And then this comes back to, it's this way for a reason. If I said, hey, we're going to do events like Aspire, I'd have way less clients.
Yeah.
Maybe they would be bigger clients, who knows, but the fact that they're lean, they're simple, and they can be easily executed with a small team is very appealing to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's not just that way because I decided it was that way. It's because this is how I actually got started doing events.
For sure.
I didn't have a huge team. I didn't have a huge budget, but I knew I needed to do events as a way to meet more of the right people to get clients from that. And for that reason, I made it as simple and straightforward and as cost effective as I possibly could. So that way I could execute it every single month as I was growing my business.
Both events are beneficial.
Yeah.
Both events are great. The full productions and the lean events.
Yeah.
It just depends what you're trying to get from them, I think.
For sure.
So, no, I mean, I've seen it firsthand. I mean, and at such a rapid pace too. You know, you're very open about your story and where you lived before and how it brought you back to Orange County and how being the local events guy was like the quickest way to just build your brand and be known like locally, right?
Yeah.
And now you're coaching people to do the same, and you're not just in California, but like all over.
Yeah. So one of the big things was that I proved out the local client getting events model in Southern California, primarily in Orange County and then San Diego. And then a lot of people outside of Southern California were like, this has been an amazing way that you've been able to build this brand here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want your help building communities for us where we live in other areas of the world.
Yeah.
So at least in the U.S., I have clients in Dallas, Miami, Arizona, New Orleans, and the list goes on, because this strategy works everywhere.
Yeah.
Because everybody, no matter where you are in the world, wants to be around more like-minded, intentional people.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, the communities that I help my clients build are entrepreneur-specific communities. And entrepreneurs are always in a position where they want to meet more of the right people. And when you have a really awesome ad strategy, like the one that's worked for me and what I teach, it just works everywhere.
Is it industry agnostic? Like, have you seen any industries or professions that really don't work with, events, or is it pretty much?
Well, of course, for certain niches, it's going to be more difficult to get contacts.
Okay.
For example, like if you were targeting doctors only, for example, you would get a lot less contacts than if you were just targeting entrepreneurs as a whole. Or if you wanted to target like specifically like lawyers or people that run construction firms or something like that. It's going to be a lot more difficult to get contacts if you're that niche. But if you're targeting entrepreneurs, what I found is that whether you're targeting all kinds of entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs of a specific gender, that works really well. Like I have a client that's super successful. He's spoken about her, who's building a female entrepreneur community. Even if you wanted to build your entrepreneur community around a specific kind of interest, like I said, gender, even race, all of those things can work really well. The common denominator, though, is like target entrepreneurs.
Got it.
And however, I have had some clients that have success not targeting entrepreneurs, like Joe, for example. Joe Shalaby. His event was last night.
Yeah.
He is targeting specifically people in the real estate industry.
For sure.
And because he runs, a mortgage brokerage, one of the largest, and he wants to recruit, loan officers along with, what he's doing with Dan Fleischman.
Got it.
So for him, that also worked pretty well, and a lot of people were interested in coming to that event. But I would say in general, it's easiest to make ticket sales when you're building an entrepreneur-specific community. But if you're an entrepreneur and you want to meet like not just other entrepreneurs, but people in a specific field for whatever reason, that can still work. But I would say the people that I enjoy working with the most are the people that are just like, Alec, I love what you've been doing here. Can we just do it there? Because I just know the ads that they need to produce. I know exactly what needs to be said in the scripts. I know exactly what the emails have to say, what everything has to look like in order to fill those rooms, because I have it down to a science. So it's easiest to work with people that are building communities, that want to build communities similar to mine, but where they live.
Yeah, exactly. And it goes back to really what is the main purpose? What's the ROI that you're measuring? And maybe Shalaby, he can afford to not make money on the ticket sales because that's not his main focus. Which most of your events aren't. It's like maybe ticket sales cover some costs. But the real ROI is like, for him, it's recruiting loan officers or getting people to buy into the fund or something, right? And for you, it's depending on your client, maybe it's getting a coaching or a consulting client by using the event, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for Joe, he wants to, like, what's a great loan officer worth to Joe? I don't know. Probably a lot, right? Like, let's say a loan officer in Orange County, I don't know how much a loan officer makes. So let's say it's $100,000 a year. I don't know what percentage Joe gets from that,
Yeah.
but probably at least $20,000 or $30,000.
Mm-hmm.
Not of that person's paycheck, but like
Off of the sales.
off of whatever sale.
Whatever, yeah, deals.
Yeah, yeah. So if you can, do an event, and let's say it does cost you a couple $1,000s, a few $1,000s, but you're able to get one great loan officer out of every event,
Mm-hmm.
then that's a massive ROI.
Yeah.
So, and it's the same way that if you're a coach or a consultant, even if you spend, a few $1,000s building your community,
Mm-hmm.
you spend $1,000 putting on the event. Not only are you going to make that money back in ticket sales, which always helps cover especially ad costs.
Yep.
A lot of the time, ticket sales will completely cover ad costs. But again, of course, you also have the cost of the event. You have the cost of, potentially hiring a coach and consultant like me.
Yeah.
But all of that money can very well be made back through getting high-ticket clients.
Yep.
Whether it's directly from the events or just from putting yourself out there locally in that personal brand exposure.
What's like an average timeline people can expect, like an ROI from working with you?
Yeah, so what it looks like is from the moment that we start working together, you should have your first event ready to go happening within 60 days.
Okay.
So basically what that looks like is for the first couple weeks of working together, you should have the funnel built and the ads ready to go. Depending on how we work together, that might be you doing it yourself or me providing that one-on-one support. It just depends on how people want to work with me.
Yeah.
After that, so after the first couple weeks of getting ads up and going, you're collecting contacts.
Okay.
So what you want to do is you want to have enough contacts in your database to sell a lot of tickets to your events. Because if you don't have a lot of contacts, you won't have as many ticket sales. So you want to make sure you have a good database of people that are now part of your community and are interested in attending your events.
Got it.
And what I tell people is it's generally good to have about 300 to 600 contacts prior to your first event.
That's a good number.
And depending on how well your ads do, that could take anywhere between, let's say, 30 and 45 days, for example. If you're more niche, then it might take longer. You just might have less contacts.
Okay.
But for those that are building entrepreneur communities, generally it takes about 30 to 45 days to get 300 to 600 contacts.
Got it.
And that would be at like a $30 to $40 a day ad budget.
Okay.
So
Doable.
Absolutely. And then, like I said, and a lot of that ad spend will just be made back in ticket sales. Because it's very common for my clients to sell 50 tickets to their first event.
What's like an average ticket price?
$30 to $40.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
So they can make $1,500 to $2,000 just in ticket sales, which a lot of the time covers all of the ad costs it took to build that community in the first place.
Yeah.
Which is great. But of course, the main moneymaker are the clients that you get from it.
Of course.
But anyway, so after running ads for 30 to 45 days, you're pretty much ready to launch your first event.
Okay.
And promotion begins a couple weeks out. And because now you have this contact list, right? You got your funnel built, you got your ads going, you're getting all these contacts of people that want to attend your events. You have a few hundred contacts at least, generally.
Yeah.
And now it's time to promote that event via this email list that you've built, the SMS texting, and also putting out, an Instagram reel to all these followers that you get.
Exactly.
Yeah, and generally,
And within this time, are you locking in the venue and kind of doing a
Exactly.
couple of things within like this time frame too, right?
Yeah, so when you're along the line, when you're running these ads and you're getting those contacts, you really want to be thinking about what is this first event going to look like.
Yeah.
Not just how it's ran. Because generally, running the events are pretty straightforward, as we've spoken about. The majority is networking, while you're going to give like a short presentation in between, add some value, pitch some kind of offer.
Okay.
But outside of that, it's like, you got to think about things logistically. Obviously, these are lean events. So again, let's preach this idea of simplicity and not making things too complicated.
Yeah.
But the main thing that people have to lock in prior to their first event that can't be completely automated is getting the venue.
Got it.
Yeah, so forming some kind of venue partnership, or you might know somebody that has a venue. Because the rest of the things are pretty easy. Okay, what are we going to do for food? I have a tutorial on exactly how to order Jersey mics. Literally, this is step by step.
That's so funny.
And it's cost effective, and
Yeah.
people love it. Okay, you have a photographer, videographer, great. If you don't, go to snapper.com. It's Uber for photographers.
Oh, that's cool.
Super easy.
Nice.
Yeah, and most of the time people have a partner or a friend or a colleague, whoever, who can help them assist at the actual event.
Checking people in while you're doing your thing.
So all of that doesn't take very much planning.
Yeah.
To be honest, 75% of it can be planned within like 15 minutes
Yeah.
if you wanted to. The main thing is just, I would say I don't want to call it an obstacle, but the thing that takes more time is just finding that venue.
Got it.
My clients work with me in Orange County. If you're lucky enough to be local where I am,
Yeah.
we have collab space. We have Rogue Collective. I got venues on deck that I can give you,
Yeah.
with exclusive rates because I know people here. For my clients that are outside of, Southern California, they're in other states, which is
Yeah.
common. They got to either go on PeerSpace or some other online venue booking
Gigster,
site.
like Spacer, something like there's weird
Yeah.
ones out there. Yeah.
However, to get the best rate, it's often smart to just approach co-working spaces
Yeah.
where you can directly form a venue partnership with them
Absolutely.
and say, hey, in exchange for me bringing all of these people to your space and also allowing you to pitch your own offer, you're going to get us this kind of exclusive rate, right?
I'm gonna
Proposing
actually-
that.
Yeah. After this conversation, I want to ask kind of your not somewhat script, but your strategy with that, because I'm planning on. This is going to kind of lead into my next question, but I'm planning on doing. So I think I told you I'm launching like a software startup, right? Part of my strategy. It just happened where I'm able to travel across the country for
Yeah.
work, but while I'm doing that, I want to, tag team that with building vendor relationships and bringing together people in the podcasting space, more networking. I've heard you say before that you typically don't recommend putting on free events.
Correct.
Why is that?
Yeah. So I don't like putting on free events for multiple reasons.
Okay.
The main reason is that it doesn't provide any benefit when you think about it. Because let's first talk about the economics of everything. Events cost money to put on when you do a quality event. Not saying you have to do anything extreme, but to have a good venue, provide food, have a photographer, have an assistant, all that stuff costs money, right? And why should we have to lose money if we don't have to? So for one, it's important to charge for tickets so that you can get that money in ads back that you spent. The cost to put on the events, you can get a percentage of that money back through charging for tickets. But the biggest reason that you want to charge for tickets outside of that is because when you charge for tickets, you're attracting a quality person
Got it.
that wants to be there and is intentional about meeting like-minded people, learning new things, all of that. If you're just getting a bunch of people to RSVP on Eventbrite, a few things happen. One, you don't even know how many people are going to show up because it could be a lot of people that don't pay just don't show up in general. So you won't even know how many people are going to be at your event. Second of all, you're not attracting the right kinds of people because the people that you want to meet, that you actually want to build a relationship with, who could also maybe be a client of yours, that's always the goal, but just to be surrounded by people that have your energy, share your enthusiasm.
Yeah.
These are all people that are willing to pay. You got to think about it. Do I want to meet somebody that can't afford to pay $30 to come to an event where all this stuff is provided? And the answer is probably not. And you also got to think.
That's a great point, yeah.
And another point is that somebody that I truly want to meet, build a relationship with, if they can't afford a $30 ticket to come to my event, is that somebody that I even want to be around in the first place?
Got it.
And
What
the
if you're
answer.
not selling? I'm gonna play devil's advocate. What if
Yeah.
you're not selling a high ticket offer, like for me, let's say it's my ROI is app downloads or getting an email list, right? Because I'm building out maybe like a prototype or a proof of concept. I don't have a tangible product yet where people can't really purchase.
Yeah.
I'm not selling a coaching or a consulting program.
Yeah. You're gonna have to monetize it eventually, Brandon.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's the plan. So like, my thought process, at least with this, is, and especially if I'm going to 48 different states, feasibly, like, that just doesn't make sense. For logistically, even doesn't make sense. I don't even know how I'm going to pull this off. But for example, like in that sense, would you still advise like to charge for tickets, or like how would you navigate something like that?
I would charge something, Brandon.
Okay.
Charge something. It doesn't have to be $30. But even if somebody pays $5 or $10,
Okay.
they're actually gonna show up. Here's the thing. Here's the crazy psychology of ticket sales.
Yeah.
All right. Which is,
I don't disagree with you one bit. I just want to.
yeah. The crazy psychology of ticket sales is that, let's say it was a free event.
Okay.
And you had 50 RSVPs. Okay? That's just a number. How many of those people are going to actually show up? Maybe 10.
Really?
Yeah. Because free events, one of the reasons they're just not the move is because the majority of the people that show up, that RSVP, are just not going to show up. Second of all, if you would have charged for tickets, out of those 50 RSVPs that were free, you probably would have gotten 10 or 15 that would have paid you $20 or $30 to be there. But because it was free, they're not going to show up.
Even if it is $5-10.
As long as they put their credit card in to buy a ticket, that's going to increase your show up rate by 400%. We're going from a 20% show up rate to an 80% show up rate.
I agree, yeah.
Yeah, and because you
People that
charge...
pay attention.
Yeah, and those people that could have afforded... Again, some of them will show up, but a lot of those people that could have afforded to buy a ticket, because they didn't pay for it, it was no investment. Something else is going to come up. Because I have this other thing going on, I'm not going to show up. And that could have been a client for you.
Yeah.
So because you didn't charge, it didn't serve you another way, and you could have missed out on an opportunity. This is all theoretical, but based on doing a lot of events for my clients, selling over 1,000 tickets myself, filling rooms, I can tell you that free events don't provide any advantage, at least in the way that I help people with as a way to grow their business and get clients. Again, free events do make sense for some particular industries. If you have a wedding, you're probably not going to charge people for it. If it's your birthday party.
Weddings are expensive.
Yeah, I actually heard of somebody charging like $300 for the wedding to cover costs. But yeah, there is a place for free events. It's birthday parties, get-togethers.
I've heard people like, these influencers that have these big personalities now, these big brands, right? Maybe they started off putting free events, but eventually they get to the point where they start charging for these events. So even if somebody is going to be doing an event, if they're not charging now, it's eventually going to come to a point where they eventually do, right?
Yeah. After my first event, so my first event in Orange County, I talk about how big of a success it was. I sold 127 tickets. Yeah. And this guy, Vince, we're talking at the event. He comes up to me, hey, this is an awesome event. But he was just like, this was a really great event, and people only paid $15 to be there. Now I charge more for my tickets, but it started off at $15. Okay. He was like, Alec, because this event was paid and people paid to be here, if you did a free event, it wouldn't be nearly as good. So you can't ever do free events now that you're charging. And you know what I said? Great.
You're right.
Great. Exactly. You're right. And I never want to do a free event to begin with. Yeah. And this just proved that I can charge. Yeah. And everybody can charge.
For sure.
If I can charge and start with a network of 2 people in Southern California
Yeah.
and grow a huge audience and community and sell all these tickets, anybody can if they follow the strategies.
Yep.
Yeah.